Hey, what's up there, YouTube friends? Grumpy Gamer Dad here, and welcome to part 1 of Making the Nightmare. This is me building the Nightmare Before Christmas in my front yard. I've done zombies, but this year I'm doing NBC, Nightmare Before Christmas. We're going to have a jack and everything else, and so in this episode, we're going to focus on building the cemetery entranceway, the arch. It's going to be made, I'll have the fence also, but that'll be another video. So this is going to be just the entryway, the arch. I have 1-inch styrofoam insulation. I'm going to also need some PVC pipe. This will just kind of give it some support and rigidity. And I'm going to need, of course, my trusty PVC cutters for this. And of course, I'm going to need my PVC foam board adhesive. It will not eat the PVC or the styrofoam. So foam cutter, which is basically a bread knife. And if that doesn't work, I have a hot knife as well that I can use. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, this is a cemetery, so it's old, weathered. I'm going to try it with a utility knife here. I'm using my straight edge. It doesn't have to be perfect. See, I didn't make it perfect there. Also, it would be helpful to remove this silver backing, and then there's a backing on the other side first before you cut. Alright, so since I scored it, I didn't cut it fully. I scored it. It will allow me to break it in half. Okay, so for stability's sake, I'm going to use PVC down the center piece. Now, I made 3 pieces, like a sandwich. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this out around PVC. I've got a long piece of PVC that's going to go through the length. As I stack block upon block upon block, the PVC will give it support, and also the hole at the bottom of the PVC will allow me to stake it into the ground. The advantage is that I have some snow for Christmas apparently with all this styrofoam everywhere, and I'm not helping the environment at all. Sorry. Alright, so there's our pieces. I cut them all up. I didn't show you me cutting them up. I peeled all the crap off them, all the silver and the other side. And so you've got different sizes. So yeah, the gateway structure itself, the blocks are kind of willy-nilly on each other. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's old weathered stone. You know, I've got the pieces of the blocks cut out, and now I'm just going to start cutting out the middle piece will be where the PVC goes. That's the structure base. It's going to extend the length of the thing. And they should be about 6 feet tall or so when I'm done, hopefully, if I measured everything out right. Otherwise, it's going to be a very small, wee little fence, wee little gate for a big, giant skeleton. I did say skeleton, right? Hope so. And there you have it. The 3-year-old me liked it when I squeezed the caulk gun because it's nice. It comes out blue. It doesn't stay wet very long. 3-year-old me was excited because when I squeeze the stuff and it comes out, it makes a noise, and that makes me giggle. Okay, so there you go. I've got the PVC in. It's, you know, wedged in there with the foam. And here it is. It's laid up, waiting for stuff to dry, but just so you kind of get an idea. Zoom out. Right. I went through 1 tube and only glued up 2.5 pieces of my first pillar for the cemetery. So I think less is more. I only bought 2 tubes of this, so I went a little overboard. You know, it's trial and error. Also, I recommend wearing gloves. I got some of the crap on my hand. It's a little uncomfortable. It doesn't burn per se, but it's chemicals. You don't want that on your skin, clearly. So I'd recommend wearing some sort of gloves when you're working with this as well. So here's one of the cemetery pillars, and it just needs paint, which is a kind of a pain in the ass, which is why I sub it out to a kid.
Hello.
You can use the roller on the face, but the sides, they're not smooth because, again, it's stone, it's weathered. So there's a picture of a hand painting. Exciting. And here's Grumpy Gamer Son #1 painting away.
How are you doing, YouTube land? How's life treating you?
We'll edit that piece. So first on the edges, what we're going to do is it's a painting technique called edging. Don't be pornographic, people. And that's just taking the paint on the edge and wiping it off on the corner so that you have that edge. Then there'll be enough paint left and removed to dry brush. So we did the edge. Had to teach about using better strokes, good strong strokes, which got a chuckle. Good thing I wasn't recording. Weathered stone, we use back and forth motions, left, right, paints the fence. Wax on, wax off, to kind of give it that weathered stone look. It's weathered stone, so it doesn't have to look perfect. In fact, we don't want it to look perfect. Alright, so bottom to top, there's our completed stone gateway. Okay, look at that umbrella, right? I'm out in the backyard again. I need to move this. And we're going to do the second pillar. You've seen the first pillar painted. That was done, and then this is like, the first pillar has been sitting out in the backyard for like a couple weeks, and now it's painted. We're working on the second pillar, which it's been like 3 weeks basically since I started that one. You don't know that, but I do. I learned a few lessons on the first one, so I'm making sure that whatever I learned on the first one I apply to this one here. So I'm making sure everything's measured out a little bit better, and the corners and edges are a little bit crisper just because of the ease of painting. Now, just like the first one, it's going to be 3-layered. The PVC pipe will go through the center, and it'll be longer. This one, the first one was kind of big block, little mix, but this one is the other column it's just tall and skinny. The bottom block will be a little bit wider, and then the rest will be about uniform size and width. That's just how it looks in the picture of the graveyard there. So first piece, we'll do the same thing. Put it down, glue it down, PVC pipe all the way up. Can I just take a moment to say what I like most about this project? The Tim Burton, nothing is perfect. No straight lines, right? No clean cut, nothing. Tim Burton, it's kind of chaotic, it's crazy. I love that because this gate, this entranceway to the cemetery was out of one sheet of 4x8 foam, polystyrene foam, construction foam. And I'm at the end of the build. I'm working on the last brick piece. It's a 3-piece glue up. I had it all measured out. I had it all counted out. I was like, oh my gosh, I might be in danger of, running out of material here at the end. So I was going to have to be sparing with my material. And I thought, oh man, I'm just going to sneak by. Well, I miscounted, and one piece didn't fit and had to be cut. And as a result, at the last brick, I ran out of material. Fortunately, I had just gotten a donation from a neighbor who had a bunch of like really cool sheets, huge sheets for next year of foam. The problem is, you think problem solved. Thick foam that I've been using. Unfortunately, it's thicker than what I've been using. So now I have to get creative and improvise and make it happen. But that's the thing. I just want to take a time out to say that's the beauty of Nightmare Before Christmas and Tim Burton, is that it doesn't have to be perfect, and I can do this on the fly. I just took this because what I've been using has been I believe an inch, maybe 1.25 sheet, and what I was given was like 1.5 inches, but I'm going to make it happen. Just to give you an idea of what I was talking about, this is what we have been using. This is what I have left. So I had to get creative, and the last brick is going to get carved up, and I used what would have been the last brick to make the centerpieces, the cookie filling, if you will, so that I can complete this project. And it actually came out perfect. Yes, there'll be like about a 1/2 inch overhang on the top brick, but that really does fit in with the vision of Nightmare Before Christmas, I think. And there's the end result. The second pillar is done. Now, dark shade. You see here what I'm talking about. See, there's a little overhang for that top brick. I think it looks good, actually. I think that adds to the charm. I wish I had had one in the center brick, too. So here's the second column. And again, like the first column, we're just going to edge the, well, edges. We're edging it, and then we'll dry brush it. Pretty much the same as you've already seen. So the last thing we have to do to complete the cemetery gate, the two posts, there's a big ornate structure that goes over the two, that connects them. So we're going to do that today out of foam. Hopefully this works. This might get scrapped, and stuff's falling already. So we're going to try this. So what I've done is I had a couple remnants from Zero's house for the roof. And so I've glued that, you can see here where I've glued it up. And then on the back, I've got another full-size sheet. So I've got a, 2x4 sheet here. And then I'm going to add another 15, 18 inches or so to it. I traced out this crude drawing. It's not going to look like that when I'm done, I hope. And then I'm going to cut this out Dremel style. Okay, so the original idea for the fence, the gate topper, I scrapped, and so this is 2.0. I took my wife's suggestion and I cut out the head only. I scrapped the two arms that I had, and I'm remaking those arms. I had to work on the fly here. That's been one of the keys of this project is kind of building on the fly. That's why you don't see me, usually drawing shit out. It's in my head a lot of the times, and I'm making it up as I go along. And then sometimes I get pleasant accidents, and this was one of them. So I'm going to use some PVC pipe. I had created the pillars, the columns, with PVC, right? They were in the center brace, and I had an idea for them in the, some point in the future. And they're open topped, so the PVC, at least the holes of the PVC, are still exposed. So I'm going to figure out a way to utilize those, utilize this, put the foam, have the foam on the face of the PVC. This will be, unfortunately, on my side, looking towards the street. I'll see the PVC pipe, but on the street face, which is the part I really care about the most, they're going to see a finished face. I'll probably get some stencils, excuse me, and stencil in some swirly whirly shit in there. The weather's bad, and I've got a mouthful of foam, I think. Wear your mask. So I'll paint it one color, and then I'll stencil in with a different color the swirls. So it won't be that complete look, but it has the element of that gate. So this kind of gives you an idea of what I'm going for here. Here's my two columns. One's about 6 inches taller than the other, but there's the cross piece that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to bring the two columns together some more for sure, and then figure out how to get that cross beam there, because it is an arch. So this is still a work in progress. So I ran into a little snag with the gate in my mock-up. I thought, well, there's a 4-inch gap between the two. It did not work. So I've created, if you look actually at the pictures, there's a flat block and then a rounded block and then another piece even on top of that. I did that on one side, not both. So this actually, they should be of equal height, and hopefully that archway goes over them better. I have to say that this has been the most frustrating of all the builds, but I think I finally figured it out. It's going to look okay on the outside from the street. It's going to look like absolute crap from behind, but you know what? No one should be seeing this from behind. It's a facade. And anybody sees it from behind, then I get to tell them, get off my lawn. All right, it's the last day of the project. Look at that, Haunted Mansion. I just had to do that. For this video, I had to do that. Sorry, lots of windows in this room, lots of glare. So, battery's dying too, what the heck. for this last project. We're finishing up this gate. It's been the slowest, most arduous of the builds, and it's finally finished today. So, my wife's painting off camera this archway. You lucky watchers here may be the only ones that ever see this thing. This arch, suspended over the two columns, because I seriously, the fart breaking this thing into a million pieces idea, that might be real. We may actually try that. That's gross, but we'll try that later. But yeah, that's it. We're going to wait for this to dry and then move on to the next. Some light dry brushing and maybe even some filigree looking work. So for the final part of this gate archway, we just got some stencils here. As the aforementioned swirly whirlies, and we're gonna stencil in some shiny or gray silvery paint across the face and onto the arms of it here. Maybe get a little creative with it. So I gave my wife creative license on the archway, and she took it. This stenciling looks pretty good, I think. I'm not just saying that because she's my wife and she'll kick my ass. I think maybe a little black wash over it, right? Just to demute that gray color, and I think it'd be perfect. Okay, unfortunately, it's windy as hell outside. And windy as hell. Sorry, I lost my foam or something in my throat. But this build is done. I can't put it outside because we got 40-mile-an-hour winds and foam, and 40-mile-an-hour winds equals Dorothy's house and witches flying around with little dogs. So I set it up in the garage. Even though I'm going to use like a 4-foot rebar, I kid you not, to anchor this down, I'm going to stake the rebar into the ground, and then because I have PVC holes at the bottom of it, right, it'll just slip over the rebar. That's how it's going to work. But since I can't show it outside, you'll have to wait for Halloween, which just means you'll have to stick around for more of my videos. I'm sorry. Okay, so here's a final look at the cemetery gate in my garage. Sorry. I'm just going to pan up. So there you got the two columns, and then you've got this, we stenciled it to make it look like wrought iron with that filigree and the swirly whirlies, as I called them, that they had in the movie. Obviously, when you're dealing with foam and weather conditions, I can't truly get as intricate as, drilling holes through this or whatnot. So, my wife, I gave her a creative license. I think she did a pretty good job. If you don't like it, screw you. But there you go. Zoom out here real quick. Oh, zoom out fast. And there's the finished gate. I'm not joking when I said this was my least favorite build. Unfortunately, it was a necessary component of the cemetery ambiance. So total for this build was probably about under $30 between the paint. The most expensive thing was the rollers, the paint rollers. I think I bought like 4 of those, so that's about $6. The foam board itself was about $16, $17. The PVC pipe, figure about $2 worth of PVC, and then the paint and the glue. Like I said, all in all, about $30, maybe $40 when I count in the stencils that I bought today to finish off that filigree work. It is what it is. There are other builds. You can see one of them. Yeah, it's a little prelude of things to come. A little Jack in the background. Sorry, he's episode like 4 or 5, I think. Maybe 4. He's 4. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this build. I'm glad it's done, personally. All right, there you go. Episode 1 in the can, as they call it. The cemetery gate, the arches. Hope you enjoyed it. Stick around because episode 2, which is the cemetery fence, I'm starting off kind of you know, the On Fest, and then I'm working my way up. But episode 2 will be uploaded here shortly. So until next time, this is Grumpy Gamer Dad saying, you know, I don't know, come back for more. Stick around. I need a catchphrase for this. But like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at Grumpy Gamer Dad.